Hello and welcome to another Leadership Nugget. Today I'm asking you to read the key points on the slides while I tell a story. It's one that had great impact on me back in the early 2000s, and I hope it'll mean something for you as well. While the death of Don Blanchard in 2010 was a critical blow to SeaWorld's image and compromised how the rest of us view the killer whales there, Ken Blanchard's book still resonates with leadership tips that are just as relevant today as they were over 2 decades ago. We moved back to Florida in the early 90s, and our three sons were still very young. We bought annual passes, consecutive years, into each of the theme parks, and we took the kids anytime I could get some time off, and we made them go even after they said no thanks. We wanted to make sure they got their fill before they got too much older. They enjoyed SeaWorld quite a bit. They really liked the Clyde and Seymour show with Sea Lion and the Otter, and they played on the playground, the Happy Harbor playground, like crazy. But it was always a Shamu show, which they seemed to enjoy the most. So, we watched those shows and we watched them after a killer whale would do a trick. We watched the trainers throw them a handful of fish, and we thought, yeah, that's the same way we train our dog. But that's not how it worked at all. My research tells me that the killer whales are highly social. They're mammals, they're highly intelligent, and they love the contact and the interaction that they formed with the trainers. And the trainers would actually be able to play with them, and they wanted the trainers to do more and to give them more interaction. So they would do things in the water to try to get the trainer's attention. As they jumped up a little bit out of the water, the trainer would give them the attention and they get back out of the water. They would do more of that and have to jump higher to get more attention, more reinforcement from the trainer. Eventually, they jump up out of the water so far, they fall over on their back, make a big splash. Trainer gets in the water, gives them attention, gives them some more fish to say, we appreciate what you're doing. And it continues to build that cycle of trust. But it's not like training a dog to do a trick. There's a reason why they give a killer whale fish often during a show, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But it's constant reinforcement, building trust, and creating that relationship that entices the animal to want to please the trainer. So autocratic and domineering leadership strategies have run their course. True leadership is not about what you do in the office or the boardroom. It's that old saying that, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So it's important for leaders to create positive energy, which then fosters relationships. It's not that we want people just to like us. We need people to trust us. We need people to want to follow us. And it's important that we set clear expectations. For years, I passed out a little pamphlet that on the very inside back cover had a list of how to manage Shannon. And it talked about the types of things that we wanted to perpetuate in our organization. But it was fostered as not how I'm going to manage you, but how you manage to my expectations. And for many years, with up to 6 different hospitals in the downline, rounding was a very important part of the strategy. And it wasn't just days. It had to be days and nights and weekends. But it had to be just rounding with a sole purpose of making connections with people, talking to them, finding out what they do, asking their feedback, but rounding without an agenda other than creating those relationships. And I mentioned earlier, there's a reason why the SeaWorld trainers, feed fish to the killer whales during the show. I made this up, I believe, that part of that has to be that you cannot afford to have hungry, killer whales if you're working with them, especially back in the days when they were getting in the water with them. And I believe that's the exact same thing. The killer whales in the work environment are your team. They're the people that are going to make a huge difference in whether you succeed or fail as a leader. You've got to feed them. And one of the ways you feed them is with the attention and getting to know them and creating relationships, just like the trainers did at SeaWorld all those years ago with killer whales. I've encouraged students and mid-level executives over my time to create and be able to articulate a true leadership strategy, their leadership strategy. Anyone that ever worked with me during my 25 years as a senior executive, or took a class from me in the last 10 years, or even heard a guest lecture, heard that my leadership strategy is what I call pro leadership. It's principle-centered, relationship-oriented, and outcome-driven. But the key has always been that relationship orientation. Principles are the ante to get you into the leadership game. Relationships is how you make things happen, but you're not going to be an effective leader unless you can produce outcomes. So you have to understand relationships is what it takes to create those positive outcomes. So I hope you will think about getting your own leadership strategy, and I hope you will continue to understand that relationships and creating trust in the workplace is a very important key to successful leadership. As always, if you derive some value from these, there are more out there. Just look us up at the School of Global Health Management and Informatics here at UCF. And for now, charge on to your leadership journey.